Good morning, y'all. My name is Nick, and I travel across North America in search of famous graves, as well as dark history locations. And today, we are in Los Angeles, California, in search of one of Hollywood's biggest movie stars, Burt Reynolds. Now, Burt Reynolds was not just a movie star. He was the guy in the 1970s. I mean, he had the mustache, the swagger, the confidence. He really defined an entire era of Hollywood. But behind all that success that he had, there were, of course, injuries, highs and lows, just like in anybody's career, as well as a legacy that's a lot more complicated than most people realize. So today, my friends, we are heading to Hollywood Forever Cemetery, downtown Los Angeles, where he was laid to rest. And while we're there, we're going to go through his entire story. So now I'm going to head downtown to Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and I'll see you when we get there. I think Burt Reynolds was one of those rare actors who didn't just, become famous. He became kind of like a symbol. And think about it, at his peak, he was, one of the biggest box office draws in the world. Bigger than almost anyone at that time. But his journey to that level of fame didn't start in Hollywood. All right, my friends, we are here at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. This is one of those that's been on my list, one of the most beautiful cemeteries in the entire world right here in Los Angeles, California. There's so many directors, musicians, movie stars buried here. But today, we are here to see the one and only Burt Reynolds. Just to name a few, like I said, there's an absolute ton, but the Ramones are here from the band The Ramones. I just saw Johnny Ramone's grave somewhere across the water there. Carl Switzer from the Rascals, the original Alfalfa, he's across the cemetery. Which, speaking of Carl Switzer, aka Alfalfa, I am doing a video on him. He's going to be in my 8-part Too Young to Die series that will come out this summer, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If we go all the way back to the early days of Burt Reynolds, it wasn't about acting at all. It was all about football. Yes, the guy was basically a standout star in the game of football, and I think he could have gone pro. He even earned a football scholarship to Florida State. And I think at one point he had a real potential to go pro, but then he had a serious knee injury followed by a car accident, and that just made things worse. And, just like that path was gone. And it's one of those kind of like meant to be things that happen in stories like this. If it wasn't for that football injury, he probably would have never became an actor. We may never even have heard of him. And as I'm talking to you right now, I'm going to have intruders intrude in my shot. And you guys aren't going to believe what's walking towards me right now. So let me get the camera. Actually, if you could see, I feel like I'm in a Animal Channel thing. There's a blue peacock directly right behind me. Let me get the camera and show you. There's another one. How beautiful is that? So after his football career ended, he started actually taking acting lessons, almost completely by accident. And at first, small roles, television appearances, westerns, nothing crazy. But people noticed something about him. The guy definitely had a presence. Next thing you know, it's the early 1970s, and a movie comes out called Deliverance that Burt Reynolds would star in. And that movie puts Burt Reynolds on the map. I feel like at that point, 70s, 80s, he was starting to be everywhere and become the Burt Reynolds that we know and remember today. And man, Deliverance, I mean, if you've ever seen that movie, that was like intense, you know, it was dark, and it was, I think, completely different from anything audiences expected from him. But, you know, it proves something, that Burt Reynolds could actually act. And honestly, after that, I think he became a superstar. Not just, you know, a star, but one of the biggest movie stars in Hollywood. This guy dominated the box office. I mean, there was films like, you know, Smoking the Bandit, Longest Yard, one of my favorites, Cannonball Run. They weren't just, you know, successful. They defined that decade. You know, I think what made Burt Reynolds different or stand out from a lot of other actors is that he didn't take himself too seriously. You know, he had that charm, that charisma, that even though he was a big Hollywood actor, it's like you felt that you knew him. Even, you know, his heyday was before my time, but when I go back, I like older movies, you know, and watch him. It's almost like you have that connection. Sam Elliott's like that too. You feel like you know these guys personally, and it's an amazing quality if you have it. Once the 1980s rolled around, Burt Reynolds' career kind of started to slow down. And he later admitted that he regretted not taking some certain roles that would eventually become classics. You guys see this? These squirrels are just following me everywhere. It is absolutely insane. At the same time, he was dealing with injuries from, you know, doing his own stunts. He had a difficult divorce and eventually serious financial problems. There was even a point in his career that Burt Reynolds, one of the biggest stars in the world, actually filed for bankruptcy. But then in the 90s, something happened. Burt Reynolds made a comeback. It was a film called Boogie Nights. If you've seen it, let me know in the comments. But it's a film starring Burt Reynolds that came out, Boogie Nights, and it reminded everyone, man, this guy's actually still pretty darn good. Not only that, but it earned him an Academy Award nomination, and at least for the moment, it felt like, you know what, Burt Reynolds is back. As he got older, in his later years, he stayed connected to acting. He was teaching, mentoring, and really still involved in that whole world that made him a star. All right, y'all, without further ado, we are going to visit the final resting place of the one and only Burt Reynolds. And he cannot have a better view. Let me just show you what I mean by that. We come up this way a little bit. Burt Reynolds, in his plot here, this is his view every day. Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And if we turn you around, this is what I mean. Here he is. Look at that. That is just cool. I mean, Burt Reynolds is a cool guy, you know? And it's so cool to see this. So cool. I hope you're enjoying this site as much as I am. Burt Reynolds passed away September 6, 2018. The age of 82, I believe, if my math is right. Man, standing here at this grave, it's just surreal to think about the life this guy lived. from, you know, almost becoming a professional athlete to becoming one of the biggest movie stars, you know, in the world, and then to losing it. And then at the end of the day, finding his way back. Never give up. You know, Burt Reynolds obviously was not perfect, but like I said earlier, just the way he presented himself, it felt like on camera you knew the guy, like he could be your neighbor, your friend. And you know, he went through problems like all of us do, and at the end he didn't give up. He pushed his way through and lived a long, happy, healthy, highly successful life. And I am so glad to be here today paying him a visit. How cool is this? You know, today I think Burt Reynolds is remembered not just of being a movie star, but, you know, being a personality, an era. There was like his era, the 70s, early 80s, and then with his comeback, you know, he was really a symbol of a different kind of Hollywood, like not super old Hollywood, but older than today. And, you know, I'm sure even now people like myself still come here to visit him and pay our respects. The one and only Burt Reynolds, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. As I normally would do in our videos here, I always just like to say hello, Mr. Reynolds, right below us. Just coming to pay you a visit today in your beautiful cemetery. Alrighty, y'all, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I'm heading off to my next cemetery and next video. If you want to see more famous graves, please check out my famous graves playlist. Also want to thank my channel members. As always, you know who you are. You make these videos and trips possible. If you're interested in becoming a Beyond the Grave channel member, click the join button on my channel, and I'd appreciate it. I'll see y'all in the next Famous Graves episode.